This is a 1944 John Deere B. I've had this tractor for a few years sitting down here in the woods. Wasn't running when I bought it, but I figured it's time to get on this old girl and see if we can make her run. Does feel like it has pretty good compression. I'd say it's got about the same amount of compression as any of my other Bs I have. Looks like it's still got all of its original fuel shut off and sediment bowl. Carburetor, I probably won't even attempt to run it on that. I'll pull that out and go through it and clean it out at least. Looks like they had it plumbed to the rear starting tank. Yeah, looks like that's going to be fun to get apart. And what do we got going on down here? Yeah, it'd be interesting to pull that apart. I don't know, it's a little hard to see down in there, but it doesn't look too bad. There's a little bit of rust in there. We'll just have to kind of flush this thing out best we can. We'll set a temporary tank up on it to get it running and see how it does. And I don't know if you can see it, but looks like it still does have its original shutters. And the shutter rod is still in there. Although it's a little hard to read from here, the serial number does check out as 1944. And according to that serial number, this tractor was originally equipped with a pressurized cooling system during the war years. I believe that this tractor was somewhat restored earlier, and they used parts from another tractor to put this thing together. I don't know, maybe depends on how she runs. Maybe we'll put her back to original. Well, this is probably going to be a challenge holding my phone in one hand, but I'm kind of curious to see what's going on here. Yeah, we're going to need a different screwdriver. And I got me a different screwdriver. Oh yeah, it's got water in it. Well, guess that was held pretty good. Yeah, it's got antifreeze in it too. I can see that. I think for the purpose of getting it running, we'll probably we'll mix up a little JB weld and put on that until we see how it's going to run. When it comes to a point to pull the hood and everything off to clean this gas tank out, and we'll replace that water. We'll address that water pipe then. With it still holding coolant, I think we'll crack the drain plug eventually and see if there's any coolant coming out of the oil. And if the oil is clean and doesn't have any coolant in it, then I really don't see a need to pull the valve cover and check the push rod tubes. So we moved the B over to my work area. Can't fit anything inside that building, so this is where all the magic's going to happen. Have you ever heard the term, let sleeping dogs lie? I'm kind of wishing I'd left that clamp in place right now. I just created more work for myself. I guess the first thing we'll do is drain the coolant out of it so we can get that area dry for repair. Well, it looks like this is going to be kind of fun. That drain plug's kind of sucked right up in there a little bit. Not sure how I'm going to get that out of there. And I'm thinking maybe see if I can find me an old 12-point socket to fit up in there and grab a hold of it. Yeah, I'm thinking I might have to try a different way. Might just have to loosen the clamp there and drain it through the hose. Yeah, that's going to be a slow process, but we'll let her drain like that for a while. Don't really want to damage that hose up too much. Save that hose if I could. While that water is draining, let's take a look at these spark plugs and see what kind of shape they're in. They're even a different size spark plug. Is it 13/16? You gotta be kidding me. Yep, 13/16. In kg. A little suited up a little bit. We'll make sure and throw those in the garbage. Let's see if we get any spark out of this thing. Not getting any spark. Probably need to pull that mag or pull the cover off and see what we can do with following points, maybe. I don't know if you can see in there too good or not, but it's a little dirty. I don't know if following the points is going to do any good or not. We might just have to go through that mag. Yeah, a little bit of corrosion coming off there. Still looks kind of dirty. We'll probably have to end up pulling this mag and going through it. But we'll give it a shot, see what happens. Get it up on the low and we'll check the gap. Okay, there we go. Ooh. That's pretty close. They feel like they're right on the money. Might help to put the daggone rotor button back in. No, we don't have any spark. We're probably just gonna have to take that mag off and go through it. So when I was looking at this the other day and looking at the carburetor, it never dawned on me that that's not the correct carburetor. That's a late carburetor off a late style B. The original carburetor that should have been on this is a DLT X34. I do have some 34s in the garage. I'll have to go through one of them, but we'll put a 34 back on it. Shouldn't have that choke cable anyway. And we'll go ahead and get this area cleaned up and get it ready for our patch. Let's see if I can get something a little more aggressive in there. Need to get all that rust out of there so that JB will stick to it. It's making the hole bigger. Cut a little piece of soda can to fit in there. That'll just give it some backing to hold that in that hole. Might have to let that set up and then rework it a little bit. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and pull this magneto off. Too tight to turn with your fingers, too loose to turn with a wrench. trouble with big fat fingers, you can't get in there. There we go. It's off now. The cup's a little loose, but yeah. We'll retighten that. Don't know if I'll use this one or maybe clean up a Waco X and put on it. This is a Type C. These are a little more complicated to work on than an X, and X pretty simple. I always got a cracked cap, so maybe we'll fix up a C input on it. I don't know yet. So I go to drain the oil out of this thing, and I find this. The square is broken off on the drain plug. This tractor seems to be cursed with drain plugs. Luckily, I was able to get a bite on that plug with these pliers, so I don't think we'll have a problem getting it out. Yeah, a lot of sludge up in that crankcase. It's blocking the oil. And look at all that water coming out of there. It's all clear. There's no antifreeze in it, so that's a good sign. Sludge has really got that. I'm just wondering if there's any oil in it. I'll have to go find something to stick up in there. Let's take this filter off and see what's under there. There's not even an oil filter in it. So there is no oil in this tractor. There's quite a bit of sludge in there, but there is no oil in it. With all that sludge and no oil in it, I'll have to pull that crankcase cover, flush it out, and inspect the rods, make sure they're tight. I'll wiggle them, see if there's any play. If there's no play, I'll probably leave them alone. But it does kind of concern me that there's no oil in it. I'm hoping we don't run into any major issues. So I think I'm going to call it for this video. Last night editing, I was getting up in about 40-45 minutes of video, so I really don't want to drag them out too much longer than that. Recap of what we done is we drained the coolant out of it, repaired that pipe, removed the carburetor magneto so we can go through both of those, drained the oil. Come to find out it didn't have any oil in it. Probably in the next video we'll pull the crankcase cover, clean the sludge out of it, inspect the rods and make sure they're not loose. If you like what you've seen so far, hit that like and subscribe. Please understand this is my first video, so take it easy on me.